So the eye colors. Right?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you, I have a Mighty game review of Warhammer 40,000, the Darktide closed beta. And the only reason I'm doing this, I'm not per se really doing this as per se a review. It's not a serious review, but I'm doing this as a baseline for more or less what I see come when the game is released, because I'll be doing a review later on this game. But let's begin with the developer, and the publisher is Fat Shark. Now, Fat Shark has actually done other Warhammer games. They actually did Warhammer Vermintide as well as Vermintide 2. And they also did another game titled War of the Roses. That game I really don't know much about. I've actually only recently heard about it, literally right before I did my review. Now, the platform that the game is being released on is Windows and Xbox X. However, it's being released currently November 30th, 2022. That's if it doesn't get pushed back again, which I really don't think it will. And I'll get into why here at the end of the review. But it still has yet to be announced for Xbox. So that's kind of where we are with the whole Xbox thing. Now, that being said, you know, it is a 40K meme, so we're going to really be diving into the 40K stuff here today. And that this is, you know, as a spoiler warning, this is a review of the closed beta. I'm only pointing stuff out that I saw in the beta, once again, as a baseline for what we see when the review or when the actual game is released, kind of like so we know where the game came from, especially because we still have a month and a half for them to actually release this game, and that's actually still quite a bit of time realistically with how quickly games can be developed and things like that. Understand that I've actually seen games go from literally nothing to actually being a full-fledged game in like a year to 2 years, so it's all really dependent upon, of course, their development team, what's going to change and things of that nature. But I want to point out a couple things that I'd like to start with. It has a really easy character creator. You can create your characters. Basically, you're picking a template of 4 different things. You can play as an Imperial sharpshooter veteran. You can play as an Ogryn. You can play as a Zealot, and you can play as a Psyker. And then from there, you're just basically you're picking template pieces to create your character. And they do actually give a pretty good amount of template pieces, and because of the amount of template pieces and the different variety that you can put the template pieces into, it allows for the game to have a lot of variation from character to character. And I didn't see any characters that actually looked similar from one another, believe it or not, the whole time. And also, when you're going through the process of your character creation, based on the type of history you take and things of that nature, will change your various voice lines in the game, how you interact with the other characters in the game, and also even essentially the color of your starting jumpsuit, because actually you're part of a penal colony. Yeah, welcome to Warhammer 40K. Shouldn't have spread that rat flesh on those nasty Imperial sea rations, but here you are. Now, there is 4 various types of missions, as well as you can pick a random mission picker, where it just kind of picks a mission for you and you can jump into it. You can either play with your buddies or you can just pick up a random crew. Honestly, I really recommend playing this with buddies, though, because you can kind of communicate back and forth and you can figure out what's the best way to use things, because things such as medical supplies, grenades, and ammunition is on very short supply. And I did actually run into people basically being vacuum cleaners, where they were grabbing anything and everything. Yeah, not fun when you're sitting there with an empty shotgun, but you see some Imperial grabbing the 5th pack of ammo during the mission. Now, the one thing is the guns sound punchy. They feel punchy. Things of that nature. I think the gunplay was great. And I also think the melee play is pretty great, too. They did a really good job to cross between the 2 planes there. I've played a lot of games that were more range combat focused, so the guns felt really good, but the melee combat would feel really bad, and vice versa for if the game is melee focused, and I feel they've done a really good job of shooting for the middle here between the two. I do like the enemy randomness, and actually what made me point this out is we actually ended up doing the same mission twice in one night. The first time we did the mission, it was an assassination mission. We went to kill the boss, and the boss was armed with like a power axe and a plasma pistol. And the second time we went after that boss, he was armed with a combat shotgun, and I think it was like a thunder hammer. So it was interesting to see that there was a little bit of variation, even though essentially it was the same mission, as well as when you're doing the missions, different enemies spawns on the different maps. And there actually is a wide variety of enemy variation. Now that being said, though, it can be quite hard to tell the difference between one enemy to another. So it would be nice to see an improvement on that, but then again, that kind of helps you on focusing what enemies you want to kill first, where if you're having a hard time figuring out the different enemy variation, you really can't focus on a specific enemy until you can really tell that it's so-and-so, that it's a commander or a flamer unit or a heavy weapons unit or whatever. I felt the game had great music, great graphics, and actually pretty good music. The variation in voice lines, I really thought that was cool. A lot of the characters never really talked or even used this. They would use the same voice lines, but they would just interact in different ways. And I like that there was a wide variety there of voice lines that the characters would have, as well as there's even options for different voices for the different types of character archetypes. The environment, very 40K like. I really like the environment of this game.
That would be cool.
Now, one other thing. Well, let's talk about the stuff I feel negative about, or that they could definitely use improvements on. One is the load times. The load times are horrendous in this thing. I might as well, whenever I go to load in a mission, I might as well go cook an egg, because it takes a long time for this to load. And that's not just my PC. It seems like everybody had roughly the same load time. The FPS I noticed was unstable, and it was kind of a weird instability. It had nothing to do with the amount of enemies or what was going on in the background or anything like that. It's just like when I'd walk up to the vendor, the arms vendor, my FPS would go from 60 and just like drop down to like 45 or 30. And then, but then there'd be parts where I'd be in the game and there'd be like 100 enemies in front of me and I'd have no FPS drops. So I'm not sure really what's going on there, but there's definitely some weird optimization issue going on when it comes to the graphics. Now, the next thing I want to point out is we had connection issues. And at some point, it seems like during the beta, the night I played, which was the first night of the beta, it does seem like it looks like the server went down for a little while. So apparently the server broke before the Imperial Guard did. But hey, good for the Imperial Guard for once, right? I feel as a quality of life thing that the game needs a comparison window when you're dealing with the vendors. It's nothing to stand there looking at a shotgun and going, what the hell is the stats of my current shotgun? Or if I'm looking at a club or a knife, what is the stats of my current club or knife melee weapon? So it would be nice to get some comparison windows there, folks. That's just kind of pointing that out to Fat Shark, and hopefully they will fix that. Who knows? They might even already have that, because understand, this game's not completed. So we don't know what like the customization's really going to look like yet. We don't know how the level progression is going to be yet or anything like that for 100% sure, but this does give us kind of a rough idea of what we are looking at. Now, the next thing I have to say is the game looks like it's going to be grindy as fuck. It looks like it's going to be a real grind to really gain level. I mean, I think I have, if I remember correctly, I have 6.5 hours currently in game, and I'm actually only a level 6 character. That seems like a long time to gain only 6 levels to me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe Vermintide was but I would think, 6 hours of gameplay, I think I would at least be a level 10. But we did see through most. I do want to point out, too, that I didn't really appreciate Ogren for the most through the players. That's not cool, because you can block pretty much just about all the attacks in the game, or at least a good percentage of them I was seeing. But the problem is if the enemy would push past my block or block, they could hit me. And they could literally clip right through my weapon and everything. So it kind of sucks that the enemy can clip through the players and times. Improvements when it comes to that.
So it does a parry and a flick and an attack, right?
Actually really isn't bad. I actually did like what I seen. In general, $8 on that gives you some extra. And honestly, I recommend this game. Go out there, get Darktide, load up the bolt gun, and go purge. It looks a very good baseline for a beta here. I mean, already announced not all the weapons that's going to end up in the game is that straight. It would have been nice if that stuff would have. Up until I actually did the beta, and then I was like, yeah, this is going to be a lot. It's mindless violence that you can play with your buddies. It's a like.
Okay, this is what the Cypher's good at. I do a lot of damage.
I have no idea if there's going to be. And actually, so as a baseline here, Warhammer Vermintide 2 does actually have Steam Workshop support. You don't have to get mods. You can download them. So I don't know if this is going to have that. I haven't seen any discussion if there's going to be any of that. Good general overall appearance of a game. They seem to have a lot of the stuff going for it that needs to be going for it upon release. And this Cyberpunk 2077 was when 2077 was released. Not saying that 2077 has problems, although it still does, but it's definitely in a lot better shape than games such as that. So I do want to say that to Fat Shark, I kind of want to direct this at them. Back again. That's my opinion, though. But anyway, folks, that's all I have for you about the Darktide closed beta. Hopefully you all enjoy this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I am going to get this game and do a review of the actual release of Darktide after it's been. If you want to check that out, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell icon. And please take a moment, like this video, and share it around with some of your buddies that might be on the fence about Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Anyway, folks, once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Have yourself a wonderful day.